Hello, welcome back. In this video, we're going to create some objects of the employee class that we created in the previous video. We didn't create a main method last time because this class has nothing to be executed, right? We just created a template, which is why we never created a main method. We never intended to actually run from this class. But in this video, we're going to create a new class and we're going to call it employee test. So this is a class that we're going to use to test the class that we created, which means we need a main method. So here, for the employee class or employee type, we're going to create some objects. And the syntax goes like this. Starts with employee, which is the class name. We'll name the first one emp1 to denote employee 1, right? Just like how we did in arrays, you would need a new, so which means we're creating a new object, right? And then type employee, and let's see what happens. Employee, two parentheses, and then semicolon. We get an error. What does it say? The constructor employee is undefined. Now, if you quickly switch back to employee class, we created a constructor that accepts three parameters, right? We never created an constructor that receives no parameters, which is why Java is not able to find it. So the only way this would become valid is if you actually pass the values. Let's say we are going to create an employee object for John, and the second one is, or the second parameter is the title, and the third is the salary. So let's make him an analyst, and let's give him 10,000 salary. I make the same mistake again. It's not a string, it's a double. So, so employee John is a new object who's an analyst with a salary, right? Now, if we quickly go back here, we created some methods to get the values, right? We can do a get name, get job title, and get salary. So let's try to get the name of emp1 and display. So system.out.println emp1 dot get name. As you can see, Eclipse is automatically giving you the options. It knows what are the methods defined in employee and it gives you those options. We want to do a get name and with a semicolon, right? Let's try to quickly run it. Run as Java application, John. So we were able to create a new employee object from class employee and give it some parameters and use the method to get the value, right? Now we also had a set name. Now if I were to change emp1 dot set name to Tina, and now if I try to do a system dot out dot println emp1 dot get name and run it again, as you can see, the name was John, but then we used the set method to change the name. Now emp1 name is Tina. So that's what setters and getters lets you do. Basically, set the values and then retrieve the values. Now, if you were to type emp1 dot, you see all these methods, but you never see the parameters that you define here because that's the significance of marking something private. If you mark something private, you cannot access it directly from another class. The only way to access those values, set or get those values, is using the methods, right? That's something to remember. If you mark something private, you can only use the methods to access them. You cannot directly access them from outside. Same goes for methods also. If you make a method private, you cannot access it outside. So you need to remember that. Now, what happens if we try to display the entire object? So just like how you create when you created an integer variable, you would just put it in the system.out and it will display the value. Let's try to do system.out.println emp1, right? We're not calling any method. We're just giving the object itself. Run it. It has Java to section 4 employee and then some number. This is basically the reference value or the memory locations, stuff like that. Java doesn't know what to display. when you just give the object here, right? It doesn't know how to display the parameters. What are the parameters you want displayed? Did you want just the name displayed, or did you want all the parameters displayed? Java doesn't know, right? You need to tell Java what to display. Now there is a special method to do that. If you go to employee class, you can create a special method to display whatever you want to display. The syntax of that is toString. So this is the syntax, toString. That is a shorthand way to create it. If you right click in Eclipse, go to source, find generate toString, it's going to ask what are the fields you want included in the toString, or what are the fields that you want returned. Now we want to display all the values when the object is displayed. So we'll just hit OK. So it created a toString method that returns a string, right? So this is the return type, string. And what this does is basically concatenates or puts together some string and then the actual value name, and then some string job title and then the actual parameter, or sorry, field, and then salary, the actual field salary. All we did is create this. Ignore this at override for now. We'll explain in a little bit. But now if you were to run this, you got employee, name equals Tina, job title analyst, salary equals 10,000, just like that. All you had to do was create a toString in class. When you do that, Java automatically knows when you try to display an object to call the toString and basically get the value that is returned, or get the string that is returned and display it. So that's basically toString, which will be used a lot when we try to see what's in an object. You just call the object, but you define the toString, so that's called automatically. The same way you can create EMP2, EMP3, and so on. I would really like to encourage you to create, several employee objects using this class. Try to play with the methods, and then see how they behave. But that's basically object. An object represents something real, right? An actual employee. And you can create any number of objects when you have a class defined that has a set of properties and methods that define an employee. That's basically object. In the next video, we're going to go into a little more detail about some of the things we did not explain, because the focus of this video was just to understand objects and how to interface with them. But that's basically it. I would really like to encourage you definitely to play with it. But that's basically it. See you in the next video.